Hello, my name is Rose Riley, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County. Welcome to our online candidate forum for the August 6th primary election. The League is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization that promotes voter education and participation. And we host candidate forums to help voters make informed choices. Now, let's hear from the candidates.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Smerick, and welcome. I will moderate the forum tonight. It's my honor to introduce the two candidates running in the Democratic primary for the Webster Township Supervisor, L. Michael DeAngelo and Peter L. Stevens. An important note that Mr. Stevens was invited and scheduled to attend the forum this evening, but he was found to be unable to attend. Thank you, candidates, for participating in this forum. We're now ready for your opening statement, Mr. DeAngelo.
Hi, my name is Mike DeAngelo. I'm running for Webster Township Supervisor. I have lived in Webster Township for about 30 years. For most of that time, I've been an attorney with the Michigan Court of Appeals and the Michigan Supreme Court, just a staff attorney. I am married. I have a daughter, and with the other things I do, I farm hay, and I guess I've been trying to be participating in Webster Township as much as I can, or I have been. I've recently retired, so that's why I have more time, and that's why I decided to try to do this. I was on the library board for 14 years, so I kind of know how to basically help run government without being too obtrusive. I have, let's see, right now I've been appointed to the Webster Township. I'm the chairperson of the Webster. I'm sorry, I'm not particularly good at this. I'm very sorry. But anyway, I hope that I can get your vote, and I promise to work really hard for you. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you very much, Mr. DeAngelo. And now to the questions.
Okay.
The questions have come from the community, and Mr. DeAngelo, the first question, of course, goes to you. Webster Township residents are being asked in August to authorize a new 10-year millage for roads. Do you support or oppose this millage proposal?
Well, I have learned a lot about the road situation over the last year. We have right now, we have a certain amount of road funding that we can use for most of our roads are dirt, and we have a certain amount of road funding, and the county actually decides what's important to fix. So having extra road millages will give us some extra funding to do things that aren't particularly the major roads, because normally a lot of what they do is they concentrate on the major roads. I do think that roads are very important. I do actually support the road millage. There is some underlying other reasons that we kind of need them now. We've had a lot of development outside the township, and they're pretty much passing through Webster. And I kind of think we need as much money as we can to keep up the quality of roads we need, especially like recently we've had a lot of construction, and it's obviously very important. I mean, people are trying to take back roads to get around North Arturo, for example, and having the roads in premium condition, especially in the winter around here, is I think very important.
Thank you, sir. And then the next question is as follows. The township has a multi-million-dollar annual budget.
Yes.
What experience or education prepare you to oversee township finances of this magnitude?
Well, this comes back to my work as the district library trustee. I was on the board when we passed the millage for the library and built a new library. I was actually on the facilities committee too. So I do have experience in trying to balance a budget with a lot of help, of course, because there's more people than I was on the board, and to prioritize what limited funding is something I've done, and so that's a lot of the experience I've had. That's it.
Very good, sir. Thank you. And then our next question follows. What specific policies should the township implement to balance climate change and environment issues on the one hand with the desire for economic development on the other hand?
So Webster Township is kind of in a very unique position. We are located in the middle of a number of other townships like Dexter and Dexter Township. We have Whitmore Lake on the east. We are I'm not sure if we have the most preserved land in Webster in just the county, but we have prioritized like having a we purchased development rights, and I'm on the natural features committee. I'm actually the chairperson, and I own a lot of natural land, and but I do understand that we are getting outside pressure for development just because of where we're located near Ann Arbor, and if we have growth, we should definitely have measured growth. We should have it with infrastructure that actually supports it. And I do believe in trying to preserve the rural character of this township for as long as possible. So we have very few commercial properties right now. It's down near the southern end of the township. So I guess the master plan kind of promotes growth down near where there's actually support system. So I agree with that, and I do think we have a lot of natural features we definitely need to preserve.
Thank you, Mr. DeAngelo. And the next question follows it like this. Voters are also being asked to renew the farm and open space preservation millage, which was enacted 10 years ago. Has this millage benefited or harmed the township in your view? Should preserving the township's agricultural character be a goal of the township board?
Yes, that is a definite yes. I'm all for the millage and the renewing the millage. Again, we've had a lot of luck in having people like preserve their land, their farmland. It definitely shows if you drive around the township that we still have a lot of open spaces, and I do think it is extremely important to keep it that way. This, especially, I mean, I spend a lot of time actually on a tractor driving around the township, so doing hay. So I think it's actually one of the most important things we can do to keep preserving the rural character of the township. I do not necessarily believe in zoning things to death. I would much rather, if we're going to have people participate in keeping it this way, I'm very much in favor of having us basically put our money where our mouth is. So, and that's where
Thank you, Mr. DeAngelo. The next question is, what are the primary roles and responsibilities of the supervisor position, and which do you consider to be the highest priority?
Well, one of the most important roles is they do have a vote on the township board. So there's 7 people that can vote, and 4 of them are trustees. And there's a township supervisor, the clerk, and the treasurer. So a lot of the role that you take an equal participation in any kind of governance as far as that goes, with just figuring out what the ordinance we need to change are, or I do also feel like you help run the day-to-day township. Oh, I guess the act of governing the township with talking to citizens and hearing their concerns. And I just think that's extremely important, because otherwise, without any participation, you're kind of flying blind with what people think that they would like to do. I know you have a lot, you're in charge of the agenda for the meetings, you're in charge of the township board meetings. Our current township supervisor, he's also participates in, for example, the natural features committee. So it's a lot of, you have your fingers in a lot of the day-to-day working of the township, and I think that's kind of the most important part, is you're the face of Webster when people need to talk to someone because they have a concern.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. DeAngelo, the next question will be our last question this evening. Part of the county-wide mental health public safety millage is used by Washtenaw County to reduce the fee it charges to local governments, including Webster Township, for policing services. Do you support a renewal of the millage? And should the use of these millage funds be changed?
I do support a renewal of the millage, and because I think mental health services are extremely important. It's especially after COVID and after, I mean, it's just been a lot of pressure on people with, I mean, the inflation after COVID. I do think it's extremely important to, I don't know, keep promoting people. Like, if you spend money on assisting people before there's a crisis, then you wind up having a lot less, I don't know, poor outcomes. I do believe in having resources available for people to call if they're having a problem. I do know that there are people like, I mean, there are a lot of, especially like perhaps with teenagers or something, where they really are having like just a very hard time, and sometimes the parents don't even really know. And so it's very important for them to have someone to call and contact. And so I really think I would continue to support the millage, and that's how I do think they're doing a pretty good job the way that they're using it now.
Thank you, sir. And now it's time for the closing statement. We will begin, Mr. DeAngelo, with your closing statement, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I got into this race because I actually thought that I could help make a difference with, we have a lot of ordinances that need tweaking. For example, there's always a flare up about something that's important to someone, and I think it's very important. I do think that my background will be very helpful when people have questions about how ordinances fit with state laws, how they like the requirements of, I don't know, helping interpret what we should be saying so that it's clear for people to understand. And I'm not a particularly good politician, but I'm a hard worker, and that's kind of what I'm kind of signing up for. It's a kind of a difficult job that people don't really pay a whole lot of attention to until something they need done gets done, or needs to get done. And then I'd like to be the person to help with the people's problems that when it comes up. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your closing statement, and thank you for participating in this valuable session.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Donna Snyder, and I will moderate this portion of the forum. It is my honor to introduce one of the two candidates running in the Democratic primary for Webster Township Supervisor, Peter T. Stevens. The other candidate, L. Michael DeAngelo, recorded his responses to the forum questions earlier. Thank you, Mr. Stevens, for participating in this forum. We're now ready for You're welcome. We're now ready for your opening statement.
Good evening. My name is Peter Stevens. I have lived in Webster Township for approximately 35 years on Firesign Family Farm, which my family has owned and operated that entire time. In that time, we've grown the farm. I've gotten an education where I received my master's in social work. And later on in life, I've become very interested in local politics. And after engaging with some of the local issues and speaking with residents, it appears that there's some interest and change here in Webster Township. And I am running hopefully to represent that change and become an ally in the township offices for residents who are seeking to use their land in innovative ways or try to start a business to help support themselves and their neighbors within our community. And I'm running with a few other individuals, Republicans and Democrats. We are running together, all with the same ideals of personal property rights, approachability of the township government, and just looking to be allies that folks are looking forward to work with instead of dreading.
Thank you. And now to the first question. Webster Township residents are being asked in August to authorize a new 10-year millage for roads. Do you support or oppose this millage proposal?
I do support this millage proposal. I believe there are still some questions to be asked and potentially some room in the process.
You're cutting out. Excuse
I
me.
apologize. Am I coming through better now?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry. So I guess again, back to the question, the road millage. Yes, I support it. I've spoke with a few different officials at the Washtenaw County Road Commission about what their plans are for the future in Washtenaw County and Webster Township specifically. What I've been told by the Washtenaw County Road Commission, especially since they oversee the use of these funds to fix a lot of our roads, they've said that the money from this new millage will allow them to do longer term projects, essentially spending more money up front to fix these issues now instead of spending less money for sure, but basically just putting a bandage on these issues that we find, especially with our secondary roads here in the township. Our primary roads are doing quite well. Residents have seen the new roundabouts and intersections going up around our township and are happy to see those. But a good deal of folks live on our secondary roads. And after these conversations with senior officials in the Washtenaw County Road Commission, I do believe that the millage is a good idea, but I do think that there's room for township involvement in decision making.
Thank you. Next question. The township has a multi-million-dollar annual budget. What experience or education prepares you to oversee township finances of this magnitude?
Well, I have never personally worked with a budget that large. I have worked with budgets somewhere to the degree of $500,000 in private businesses, examining how that money is going to be spent to increase membership in what was or I guess is a private yacht club. I'm looking forward to getting more experience working with that budget. I know as a private citizen and resident, I've taken the initiative to make comments on the budget process within the township. And I've certainly taken an interest far enough to look through our budget to get an understanding of where money is going, where our residents' money is being spent. And I feel that, especially with a board of other interested individuals to help make decisions in how we spend our residents' money, I believe that I can certainly handle something a little larger than the $500,000 that I have in the past. And I look forward to having that opportunity.
Thank you. Next question. What specific policies should the township implement to balance climate change and environment issues with the desire for economic development?
Well, in Webster Township, one of our greatest assets is our open rural landscapes. Some of the things that residents have proposed and talked about with me or with the larger community have involved more non-traditional housing options that serve as low income or transition housing options that would be very environmentally friendly. We also have a good deal of just water resources coming through Webster Township. And we have a new commission, which is wonderful, that is protecting and bringing education to these water resources within our township. But right now, I'm not sure there's a huge interest from the community for, I guess, new businesses. And I think what a lot of people are looking for are ways to potentially slow down growth or costs in the township, as it's starting to put a real burden on people as far as taxes go and property taxes. I think Webster Township is real interested in opening up avenues for keeping animals on smaller parcels of land to increase sustainability and resilience on a personal level. And that's something that's being discussed right now that myself and others have taken a very large part in directing and asking questions about, to make sure it's going in a way that is more environmentally friendly and allows people to utilize the land in safe and responsible ways.
Thank you. And keeping on the land theme, voters also will be asked to renew the farm and open space preservation millage, which was enacted 10 years ago. Has this millage benefited or harmed the township, and should preserving the township's agricultural character be a goal of the township board?
Preserving the agricultural nature of Webster Township should be at least in the top 3 as far as goals go when the board is considering planning for the future of the township. The PDR program, purchase of development rights, that Webster Township utilizes is one of the premier in the state. It is ran by one of the board members, John Westman, who has done incredible work over the last 20 years developing this program to purchase the development rights for and therefore preserve the agricultural land here in Webster Township. I fully support the PDR. I've voted for it every single time I have been able to. I have voiced my support and my general joy with how the program is supporting and preserving farmland in Webster Township. And I'll be voting for it again this fall, and I hope other residents will. And yes, I support this program and will continue to into the future.
Thank you. Next question. What are the primary roles and responsibilities of the superintendent position, and which do you consider to be the highest priority?
Rules and responsibilities of the supervisor include directing the budget and putting that together for board review. They are the chief assessor for the township if they hold the qualifications, which none of the current candidates for supervisor do, but Webster Township employs an assessor. The chief assessor is still kind of the last line of defense for how property assessments are done. They still get a say in the process. I think one of the most important duties of the supervisor is the public face to its residents. One of the reasons that I have chosen to run at this point is residents telling me that they just don't feel as though they have an ally in the township, someone to speak to about their concerns that is interested in listening to them. I'm interested in being that person. I believe I have the surrounding experience to complete the other duties of the position. And my interest in being an ally to the residents will inform and bring to bear what I believe is that most important role of being the ambassador of the township offices to its residents, the government to its residents. And that is my intent.
Thank you. This will be the last question, Mr. Stevens. Part of the countywide mental health and public safety millage is used by Washtenaw County to reduce the fee it charges to local governments, including Webster Township, for policing services. Do you support a renewal of this millage? Should the use of these millage funds be changed?
So this is a more difficult question to answer for me. Police are definitely in a difficult position right now when it comes to especially mental health work in our county and township. I support the millage because I think funding should be allocated, and I think it's incumbent on us as voters and interested parties to ensure that that money is going to proper uses. Instead of over policing, I believe Webster Township has a role in potentially helping out with community mental health, perhaps opening an office somewhere in the township that would allow residents to have easier access than driving into Ann Arbor for mental health services. There are different ways to use that money, but that would be a longer process, and it's not a budget that I've fully gotten into, so I'm not sure I can answer much more on that one.
Thank you. And now it's time for your closing statement.
Well, in closing, I have always dreamt of this, representing people that I care about. And Webster Township, in all of its beauty and glory, is something that I care about very deeply. I see people who are resilient, who are innovative, who are interested in working with each other in their community and on their own land. And I think that our township is heading in a direction right now that perhaps curtails a little bit of that individualism and grit that makes Webster Township such a beautiful rural neighborhood. It's something that I have always appreciated and loved since we took this farm, like I said, some 35 odd years ago. Regardless of the outcome of this election, I have been speaking with a lot of people that seem very interested in change, and I'm hoping that I can represent that change for them. I'll do it as an officer in your government. I'll continue to keep doing it as a resident in this neighborhood and this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens, for participating in this valuable session.
Thank you very much.
The League thanks the candidates and volunteers who participated in today's forum and the community members who submitted questions. Please urge others to view our forums. Most importantly, please vote in the August 6th primary election, whether by absentee ballot or in person.